I spoke a short time ago to two members of the Senate Judiciary Committee. First, Republican Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah. Welcome, Senator. As you probably are aware, several of your Republican colleagues have said they at least plan to meet with Judge Merrick Garland. Do you plan to?
We're friends. I'd be happy to meet with him any time, but it isn't going to change the viewpoint. The viewpoint is that we ought to put this off until the next election, or until after the election, so that it's fair to both sides, and we get it out of this what really is a toxic presidential election process. It's just terrible.
So you're saying if this were not a toxic election process, that it would be okay for any president to be able to make his nominee?
Well, it depends, It depends on, I don't know what's going to happen after this election, but putting it off to after the election seems to me to be a wise thing to do. It'll bring people together better than just trying to ram it through this time.
Does it seem right to you that this should be about the election process rather than about the quality of the nominee?
Yeah, look, the quality of the nominee isn't an issue. The person is not an issue. What is an issue is, should we do this during this toxic presidential election process? Because you've seen over the recent years, and the Democrats started this when they really destroyed Bork, who was one of the all-time great legal minds.
So you're saying, let me just get this right, that all things being equal, if this were not an election year, but it was still this president making the nomination, knowing what you know about Merrick Garland, you could conceive of supporting him?
Well, I didn't say that. I'm saying that, we've only had a very few times in history where somebody's been put up during a presidential election year. 1916 was the last effective time. That's when Chief Justice Charles Evans Hughes decided to leave the court and run for president. We had one other time when Judge Kennedy was confirmed after during a presidential year, but he was nominated in the year before, and that only came after the toxic, Bork proceedings, where his reputation was really attacked viciously by Democrats. So, and I can tell you this: if the table were turned, and this was, and the Democrats were in charge, I guarantee you. Republicans had the presidency, I guarantee you the Democrats would not do anything different from what the Republicans are doing. And I think it's only right.
So since so much of the toxicity, as you describe it, in this election has happened on the Republican side of the competition, do you worry that if a Democrat were elected president, you may have missed a chance to at least hold a hearing for someone who you might actually find more acceptable than a Democrat, the next Democrat might nominate?
Well, I think it's been toxic on both sides, and it's going to get worse as far as I can see. So, the Democrat election hasn't been a walk in the park either. But I'll tell you one thing I'm tired of, and that is when it comes to the Supreme Court, we should all be venerating that court and venerating the people on it, and to put them through, even a good candidate through this toxic process during a presidential election, which really hasn't been done before in this way, I think would be a tremendous mistake, and Republicans just aren't going to do that. Neither would Democrats. If the position was changed, it was the other way around, the Democrats wouldn't be going ahead either.
So what happens next? We just go through the motions for a couple months?
Well, I think people ought to start accepting that the Republicans are not going to do this at this time in this presidential election, but there will come a time when it will have to be done regardless of who is president. And yes, to answer your question, yeah, I would prefer having a Republican president, because I think you'll get better judges. But if Mrs. Clinton is elected, she's certainly going to be able to appoint the judges that she thinks are the better type of judges, and they'll be much more liberal than the judges and certainly justices that the Republicans would promote.
Oh, I suppose that's the gamble then. Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah, thank you very much.
Well, nice to be with you.